We'd like to call the meeting to order. If you could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a moment of silence. The first item on the agenda are public comments. We have 3 minutes to address the board, and you can also speak on each agenda item as well. If you'd give your name or if you're a township resident, that would be helpful.
Good evening. My name is Joanne McCullum. I'm coming to you as the president of the New West Little Neighborhood Association. First of all, I would like to thank Brenda Stumble and Debbie Swanson for attending the last peace walk that we had in West Willow. As president of the Neighborhood Association, I get to hear from many residents about the sad conditions in West Willow. There is a concern about houses that have more traffic than they should, fights, stolen cars being confiscated, and ordinance issues. A main concern for probably since 2010 are how the rental properties are handled when they are out of ordinance. The ordinance does not cover, from what I can see, fighting, high traffic, disruption with other neighbors. I hear of families that are challenged by high rent and one-parent working families while their children are at home supervising themselves. What is needed is an amendment to the ordinance for landlords to be held accountable to disruptions at their properties. There should be some kind of amendment change or policy of some sort so that they know, and they need to be contacted when there are disruptions, not just when there is drug trafficking or whatever. Just if their tenants are disrupting other neighbors, or if there's a disruption at their house, these landlords need to be contacted. And there need to be some sort of policy. These families are probably showing symptoms of problems in their home. And we need a policy or procedure to give them resources to help in their homes. If we know all these things are happening in their home and we just throw our hands up, I don't think that's very good neighborly. I don't think that's very good government. We need to step in there and do something to help. The association cannot bear the burden of these conditions. We try our best to help our residents with youth programs, with resources, with all what we can do. And we don't get paid for anything. We seek out grants and donations or wherever we can do. But we cannot do it ourselves. We need the help from the township and the resources from the township. I don't hold Washtenaw County Sheriff Office really blame for a lot of the things that are happening. I think the origin is what's happening in the homes, and that they need help, and that there needs to be accountability for the landlords. It's time for the township to do something constructive about these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to, I'm sorry. Ms. Linda, I'm sorry.
Yep. Oop, sorry, and it's caught in my earring. So my name is Linda Migling, and I live at 597 Eugene in West Willow. And I know, Brenda, we've talked in the past a little bit about our ordinance and things that have been going on in West Willow, and I know you've been of some help. What I would like to see, and I'm hoping that maybe you all would look at making some changes. You wait 7 days after you get a call about like the grass being tall. Then it's 7 more, we have to wait that long. You get 7 inches before we can call. And then 7 days before you can really do anything about it, put up a sign and warn them or whatever. By then, it's looking pretty bad. And I don't know if you could just say that we just seem to have more of that happening in our area now than in the past. Normally you could talk to new people coming in and tell them about the ordinance. I've given out so many books in the past years and stuff to try to help people. And I appreciate, I know, Brenda, you brought a little paper with the ordinance on it because we were having trouble getting them off the website. But I would really like to consider making some changes. I think that's too long. I know there might be circumstances where that person maybe can't. But if we don't talk to them and know what's going on, we just see it as a house not being kept up. I think it was in May when I started calling about one house down from me, a move out and stuff. And right now the house, I think it's been through the court by now on Eugene Street. Mm-hmm. So now the windows are getting broken. There's a couple of windows being broken. I did see. I don't know what would change people's mind to realize that, they should care about their neighbors and about how their house looks, to be inviting for new neighbors to come into the neighborhood, new people to come into the neighborhood. But I really would like you to consider changing some of the ordinances and having that maybe not so long. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Linda. Are there any other comments?
Oh, I got to put this down a little bit. My name is Karen Wilson. I live at 790 Fox Street. I have a neighbor that is renting out. I'm buying my house. It's my house. The neighbor is renting the house. And the kids are unsupervised. They're running in the back door, out the front door, on the property. You never know who's there watching them. And when I've questioned a couple things, like I got a BB hole in my kitchen window, I asked him, does your son own a BB gun? No. I hear 5 teenagers in the back. But then the police expressed to me, after he came and took pictures, he said, it's not a bullet hole, it's a BB gun. He said, you can't really prove anything until you start setting up cameras. So I've already did that. I set up cameras. I've actually made 3 police reports because I've had broken solar lights, and they politely stack them up in my yard. So it's just getting overwhelming. My BMW's had a piece broken off of it. So I'm just really fed up with it. I've talked to the landlord. I contacted the landlord. And the landlord basically said, my mom's over the property. She's 90 years old. She said they gave me a full year of payment. So that was all she was concerned about, is that she got a year of payment. So I just wanted to express that we do need to make the landlords liable for who they're renting out to, because what they're doing is tearing up other people's property. So.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. My name's Charmin Spicer, and I'm an Ypsilanti Township resident. I live at 2266 Merrill. I'm commenting, and I emailed you all this afternoon regarding the first item under new business on the agenda for tonight's meeting. The success of the new position of Community Resource Coordinator is critically dependent on the amount of trust the township has built and maintained with residents and businesses. For the new coordinator to be able to do the job effectively, the process of hiring them must be transparent and fully publicized. The fact that this is a pilot program is not a valid reason to waive the hiring process and to appoint a person who has not formally applied, gone through the hiring process, and been selected as most qualified from among a diverse pool of applicants. I have serious concerns about the township waiving a job posting and hiring process to fill a position that success will depend on community trust and relationship building. Ypsi Township, especially this township supervisor, has some reputation for hiring and supporting family members. That image, earned or not, continues to be a cause for concern among township residents. Because of my experience working in affirmative action at U of M and my unease with what the supervisor is proposing, I researched EEOC guidelines and emailed information to all of you about EEOC best practices and about what is and what is not legally required. I urge you to keep in mind tonight that not being legally required does not absolve you from the commitment you've made to our community to keep the best interests of all the residents in mind when you make decisions like this. I ask that you do not waive the hiring process and that you do not hire someone tonight, and instead that you take the time to post this position and establish a hiring committee that includes township residents to conduct a thorough screening and selection process. The trust you will create by doing this and by listening to organizations and residents' voices will strengthen the township's relationship with businesses and neighborhoods. These best practices will foster stronger relationships between the Community Engagement Department and community, as well as with the new coordinator. Taking the time to engage the public and do this right will be a most meaningful step for the Township Board of Trustees to take. And I kind of battled with myself today because I thought, this is a little thing. I mean, it's a $40,000 a year job. But it's the little things that really add up to erode people's trust. And I think it could become a big thing in terms of establishing trust and communication if you would take adding this position as an opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
Hello, I'm here. I'm a resident of Turtle Creek, which is a part of West Willow. And I'm here because I am begging for your guys' help to make my street safer. The rental houses are unreal. The ordinance problem is unreal. We had 3 stolen vehicles found on our street that's interlinked to the same rental house. And in the last month, the cops, the police officers, have been called umpteen times with 15, 20 or more kids fighting out in the front yard. The other night, on somebody's camera, it was found where 2 teenagers exchanged a gun in the driveway. Now, again, the house directly behind it is the one where the teenagers were shooting this summer when the police officers caught them out on the, rest stop or whatever. We had the murder happen on Nash. I am begging, I want West Willow brought back to what it was. And I shouldn't have to keep calling ordinance over and over. When they're driving down the street, they can see the crap I see. I take pride in where I live. I don't care what my address is, front and back. I've already started seeing rats already. They're not coming from my yard, they're running across my yard. And unless the 2 homes behind me are rental homes, something's got to happen. It is ridiculous, but in the last couple of weeks, three vehicles that were stolen from Canton, from Van Buren. Were you guys aware of that?
No, he didn't bring it.
No. See, our taxes pay for you guys to be notified by the police. My head of my neighborhood watch should be being made aware of what's going on. I call and tell her most things that happen on my street, and it's ridiculous. I am ready, and I am not lying. I will start calling Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7, the radio stations. Ypsilanti Township's got to change. West Willow, you guys paid to have the big brick wall out there for the expressway people, but we're feeling like you don't care about us anymore. Ypsi has taken such a nosedive, whether you're uptown Ypsi or on the outskirts. It's like, let's come together and make a change, or else I will change my address and I will move out of state, because it's unreal. I'm embarrassed to tell people where I live, and I should never have to feel that way. That's...
Gail, I do want you to know that we met with every Monday, we meet with our lieutenant from the sheriff's department, and that was not brought up about 3 vehicles stolen in West Willow. So, yeah, so I just sent an email on that because they should have notified us, and I did ask about the fighting because I know residents were calling, but they said that no one called, and so I'm just saying, when we meet with the police, this is a report that we get every Monday, but we're going to have to maybe have them come to the meeting at the Neighborhood Watch with the lieutenant who has the backup information and stuff, because they should have told us that information on Monday, and they didn't. So.
They didn't, and that's why I keep saying, do I need to call Channel 2, Channel 4, and Channel 7, the Detroit News, Ann Arbor News, because this girl will do it. I've had it. It's like the police officers have said there was no cause. The one time with the fight, I made the first call when there was 20 kids.
That's what Joanne
And
said.
I could hear them over mowing my front yard and edging, and those machines are loud. It's like everybody come together.
Right. Thank you, Gail. Are there any other public comments? No, let's see if there's other people first, please. I'm sorry.
My name is Roy McCollum, and I live 1077 Woodland. And I called the police a couple of times. And I asked the police, I say, they speeds up and down Woodland like it's 696. He told me, excuse my expression, we ain't no damn babysitter. So I hung up. He calls me back and said, why you hang up? I said, man, you talking crazy. So I don't know if anybody brought up about the speed bumps. We've been denied. But I would tell the police, I said, look, what you can do, you can come and sit on Woodland. You can catch them running up and down that street. They use Woodland like it's a expressway. And I know they might have other jobs they got to do or whatever, but when the officer said to me that we ain't no babysitter, Now, when you're coming into West Willow, to turn on Wood Glen, you can see the sign, but his bushes hanging over, so you really can't see. It's 25 miles an hour. You very seldom see cars run 25 miles an hour up Wood Glen. So I don't know why we was denied to get speed bumps.
Right.
Nash got speed bumps. But we definitely need speed bumps. And when we cross the street, you got to be like little kids. Just like my neighbor. She was getting ready to walk across the street. I said, give me your hand. We got to look both ways like little kids. And we grown-ups. That street is dangerous. I've been hit 3 times on Wood Glen. I got hit when I was turning into my driveway. This girl was going to try to shoot by me. She was going 2 houses up to shoot by before I could turn into the driveway. So I'm not planning on moving, but I would like to see something happen. And see, when you don't live out there, it's quite different. But we see this here every day. When it don't have to be a certain time that they speed up and down Wood Glen. I've seen the police ride by. As soon as he bent the corner, there was a black car come through there like he was running about at least 70 miles per hour. And if you got little kids out there playing, if you're running 70 miles an hour, there's no way you can stop. And those Amazon trucks, some big old trucks, they drive fast up through there. UPS, I know they're on a schedule, but they shoot up and down there. If that truck running 40 miles an hour and some of the kids run across the street, it's going to be very, very hard for them to stop. So we need speed bumps. And my neighbor and I, we had got together. We had said this here, at least I'm for this right here. I would like to find out how much would it cost to get some speed bumps if you could just put it right in front of the house. That'll slow them right there at 1077. So I'm kind of at Wick's end. I just don't know what else to do. But I know when I bag out, I get ready to cross the street, I'm going to look both ways, like a little kid, because they drive fast. So what we need, we just need some assistance. That's what we need.
Okay.
And when I come in this afternoon, I was kind of tired. But my neighbor told me, said, well, they're having a meeting. I said, well, I'm going to try to get there. Plus, I'm a little tired right now. But I want to get here. I didn't want to hear it secondhand. I want to be able to voice my opinion. So if we can just get somebody to kind of reach out, the police don't want to work with us. And just like with that shooting, I was out cutting grass. I had my headphones on. And I hear all this boom, 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 boom. Freaked me out. I'm on Wood Glen. The shooting happened on Nash. So I could hear all the gun shooting with the headphones on with my lawnmower running. So we just need to do something. And
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm just voicing my opinion. I just hope something happened.
And the township will pay for the speed humps if the county road commission approves them. So that's the hardest process to get through, but the township pays for the speed humps, but we have to get it, the road commission has to do a study, well, right? They do
when they put that, they put them little strips across.
Yeah.
Now, what that was about is to monitor the traffic, how much traffic goes in and out. But the speeding,
that's the
it
issue.
don't clock the speeding. Because see, a lot of times when people see that, and you have that little old box up clocking the speed, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people gonna start slowing down anyway.
Right.
And then look, that little old box didn't stay up long enough. So if Nash could get it, why can't we get it?
If it was up to us, you'd have speed.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
If we could, we would put
look
speed
here,
humps
look here.
wherever residents want them.
I'm not trying to put nobody on the spot, but what I'm saying, I know if it was left up to you guys, we can get them. But I don't know why they dragging their feet on them. How much would it cost to get speed bumps? And they got the speed bumps over there on Nash. They just jump over them speed bumps. There ain't no hiding that. You know, I'm not saying tear your car up when you go across it, but slow it down.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Someone bring her the mic. Bring the mic to her. Here we go.
Oh, I could have walked down, but thank you. Good evening. My name is Ann Davis, and I live on DeSoto in West Willow. And listening to the comments and things from the different people that have spoken, I'm not here about the comments. I am going to speak about something that we are doing in West Willow that has a positive note. And that is we have a intergenerational reading program with the youth and what we call elders. And elders does not necessarily mean that you are a senior. It just means that you're older, and it's a respectable term that people use. They call us elders. And the purpose of that particular program is to bring together unity between the elders and the youth and get to understand each other. It's a very good program, and we do meet every other Friday, and our mission is to come up with ideas as how we can better our neighborhood. But we can't do it alone. We need help from others, other input from other people in the community, because we like to say it takes a village. It cannot just take a few handful of people to make your neighborhood better. And I understand that there are things that are going on in the community. A lot of it I was not aware of. But this is a very good program. Most of the time when we think of our youth, we think about them being in a gang, them doing this and the other. But we have some very positive, intelligent, young people that's in our program. And some of them are here with us tonight. And we applaud them for taking the time, because I know they go to school, of being here.
Thank you.
Pardon me? She said, can I introduce people?
Thank you.
If our group would just stand up, this is our group here.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? We heard what you said. Oh, I'm sorry.
You sit on up there.
Oh, Miss Karen? there's one-
Yes. Yes, I also wanted to let y'all know that I had made 3 calls to the police, and they took some reports, but then October 2nd, when I called the police were so busy that they did not have time to come when my vehicle was hit twice by the young boys. And I just want to commend the police, because I know they're trying to handle what they need to, but I think they were busy with domestic violence situations and emergency calls. So I do commend the sergeant, because he did give me a courtesy and call and said, I can't send the deputy out.
Okay.
So I do commend the police for that.
All right, thank you, Miss
thank you.
Karen. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not used to using a mic. I really normally just talk. Let me just talk over this thing. Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh McAllister. I want to thank Veteran 22. That's a beautiful thing they put out there for veterans that have committed suicide. There's 22 veterans that are commit suicide every day. Two Marines is a new upcoming grassroots organization that is here to help emergency transition problems and house veterans. We hope to take that number from 22 to 21. Working very small with small organizations that we implement programs that have not been implemented or the neighborhoods want, i.e. the West Willow Farmers Market program. It's a very unique program working with seniors, children, getting grants from all different kind of organizations. We hope to expand that kind of area into maybe schools or anything that we can house these kind of coordinators and create incubators throughout the township in the food world. West Willow community is considered a food desert. Within the last 150 days, we've been able to pull the EBT, what they call SNAP benefits, WIC, and we are working on the senior program. As we pull these programs, West Willow and the township, and as we work together, we will be able to be a food produce center working with companies like We the People Opportunity Farm. They allow us to sell produce, which the kids say selling, but it's actually we're getting donations to pay them. That is the true way it actually works for $2 because the produce is so close to the farmer's market in its own neighborhood. Other produce that we cannot get a hold to, and I'm talking about we go all the way into Belleville. We keep it real close. Once them farmers are out of their extra, we do have to go further. And that's why we are here to definitely try to make a food hub with the township in some sort of area and bring in new farm techniques that are not utilized with the help of MSU. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, we're going to move. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Akeem, and I just like to echo what Ann stated in illuminating the great work that's already been going on in West Willow. But for that work to be done, I'd like to also acknowledge the pillars in the West Willow community who are helping bring and shed light to the positive things that are going on. So Joanne, Linda, Josh, our elders such as Ann, and also our youth who are all here today coming together and expressing the needs and the great things that are going on. I'd like to also invite you all to one of our meetings to have a real conversation. And this is a great forum, a great conversation starter, but to really have a dialogue with our youth, with our elders, in regards to what they are saying that is needed in West Willow. And saying, hey, we would like to upgrade the park. We would like to have a space where we feel safe. Because a lot of these things that are being said in terms of violence, not feeling safe, speeding in the community, these are things that are constantly being echoed not only from our youth, from our elders, to everyone in the neighborhood. And I would love for us to all come together, kind of like what Ann said earlier, and having that village mentality of saying, hey, how can we put and uplift one another? So,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so we meet every other Friday. So our next meeting, if my village can, when's our next? The next Friday. So next week Friday, which is the 14th, we will be meeting from 6 to 7:30. And also I can leave an email, phone number with you all. Go up there and I'll do that. And I'll love to further conversation in regards to having those conversations or dialogues into just already illuminating the great work that's been going on in the neighborhood.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Yes.
Madam Chair, could the gentleman tell me where the meetings are held? I didn't hear that part.
The meetings are at the Community Resource Center, correct, sir? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to add one more thing to what Roy had said about the speed on Wood Glen. I was the one that has repeatedly did the survey and got the signatures and all that. My house has been hit twice by crazy drivers. It is unreal how many neighbors I've talked to along the way, how many people's got cars hit and nobody stops. You know, I don't know what it's going to take, but if you guys got input, please get these speed bumps on our street. I am stopped at least a couple times a week from neighbors at one end or the other. Gail, what have you heard? What have you heard? And the only thing that I can say is keep praying. I don't know what it's going to take to get Wood Glen cleaned up. You know, the crime, the houses, the renters, the troubled renters out. We want to be safe, you know, and Wood Glen's got a lot of good people, and I'm trying to keep them safe.
Thank you, Gail. Okay. Bring the mic to him, please. Bring the mic to him.
Hi, I'm Mike. I got a problem with my houses. The guy next door got 11 cars, blank, walk off. I got animal going to my yard. I need a fence and cut the fence post on my property line. You know what I mean? And try to get a new fence. You know what I mean? I got a problem. I always take off somewhere. Because doing a business, he come on his house, he got an attitude problem. He gone. Then he go back in my house, I had a house break in. Then I had a letter, township, got pictures. This guy could break in my garage, my house, my trailers. You know, I had a letter. See no order, Mike. I got a sign, no trespassing. So I go down back. These kids are playing games on me because it's cars. They got animals because township can see it. The cars go on gates, getting knockers. He got cars back there. You know, he got an animal go to my yard every time. Groundhog. I clean my mess every day. My house, pick stuff up. But now I have a problem. Mega problem, my leg. I'm trying to clean out my yard. And I take a break, maybe 2 or 3 hours, try to clean some stuff. Because this guy here stealing shit or something, going to my yard. I'm trying to put a stop. I use a survey, because the guy wanted a brand new fence on his property, the line. So I ain't gonna do it.
Okay.
So I got me a bad problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the August 16th work session regular meeting and tabled at the September 20th, 2022 regular meeting. We have the minutes of the September 20th work session and regular meeting and statements and checks.
So move the consent agenda.
Support.
Go ahead.
A motion by Rowe,
Stan,
support by Peterson.
Stan, started first.
That's fine.
Stan says it's Peterson.
Oh, thank you.
To approve the consent agenda. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Attorney's report, Mr. Winters?
Madam Chair, during the work session, I had prepared a report to give to the Township Board this evening. And I didn't know better, I think some of you may have been peeking over my shoulder when I was preparing these notes, because a lot of the things that I at least want to update the board kind of resonate with some of the comments this evening. I know that there's an old saying that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I think it was back in probably 2008, maybe before, when there was a housing implosion that took place across the country. And I remember one time going to the West Willow meeting with Joanne and kind of, at least at that time, updating what was happening in the West Willow, not only West Willow, but township-wide, as a result of that 2008 housing meltdown. At that time, the township board and boards afterwards were dealing with the fact that because of the so-called recession, and some people say we're heading into it right now, there's a slowdown in the housing market, et cetera. But what happened back in 2008 is still relevant today, because what happened back then and what we're still dealing with is there was a fire sale, more or less, on a lot of the residential housing stock in this township. We had speculators who were scooping up residential properties anywhere between as low as $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, $12,000. And at some point in time, we had some property speculators who owned as many as 70 to 100 residential homes scattered throughout the township, many of which are concentrated in West Willow, Sugarbrook, and other parts of the north side of the township. At that time, township officials and myself went to Lansing to try and get help from, at that time, MISTA, because they had a policy that said if you have more than 15% of your residential properties on a street that are rental, you are destabilizing the neighborhood. And we asked for a lot of assistance in trying to have them enforce that so-called 15% rule. Well, they did not do so. At that point in time, the township began to gather its own statistics, and from that time period, going back when I first met Joanne and the township board going forward, the township probably at one time, we probably sued every bank in the United States over the conditions of their rental properties. Bank of America, Citibank, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, everybody that owned these properties that were not taking care of them. As time went on, Washtenaw County also plays a significant role in what is happening in West Willow and other parts of this township. When I say that, they commissioned in 2015 a housing affordability study. And at that time, they identified that there were a number of residential neighborhoods that, in their words, were on the tipping point. They were on the point of no return, where they could no longer continue to have rental housing come into those neighborhoods without having that balance tipped over to the negative. They also went on to say in 2015 that the city of Ypsi and Ypsi Township could no longer be the affordable housing option for the city of Ann Arbor and for Pittsfield Township. And yet, it's continued on and on and on. Now, in regards to those properties that are owned by the landlords, we are, I don't know if we're aware of everything that's going on over there, but I know that we have at least have a township board that has authorized us, whenever it's come to our attention, when there's properties that are not being, that are public nuisances, for us to take legal action. And we have sued a number of landlords in the West Willow neighborhood over the years for not having their properties brought into compliance. And in fact, we continue to do so. And I think the board continues to monitor the fact that we have what I believe quality of life issues that you've identified that are on the upswing even right now, because we're seeing things we haven't seen for a while in terms of how they continue to increase even on a exponential scale. So right now, I think that the hearing it again is just a reminder that the township was right in trying to at least get the control of the rental properties that are impacting in a negative way. We have good landlords, but we also have very responsible people that own the properties that we're trying to address as fast as possible. I would also say that earlier, even this past weekend, you may have also seen that the township, I was going to give an update tonight, we have the Galt Village Shopping Center over there that is absolutely beyond the point of remediation. In fact, the whole shopping center is under a demolition order, and we're pursuing to obtain bids right now to have that property, those vacant buildings, demolished because they pose an imminent threat to the health and safety of the area. And for many people, it's not just the Galt Village neighborhood. It's people in this township go by that shopping center, what used to be a vibrant shopping center when I was growing up. And now they see really a ghost town. And earlier today, I drove over to the Galt Village Shopping Center. I saw a car over there. This is broad daylight. And there was people in the vehicle engaged in activity that, to say the least, was not something that should have been going on in a car in broad daylight in this township. And so under the current court order, the township has the authority to hire security, and we intend to do so for that neighborhood, as also to, for the shopping center rather, and to have that cost on the landlord's, on the owner's assessment. I don't know. We continue to try and monitor this. Today we also have more of a meeting of different department heads to try and address the number of fires that have occurred at times in different parts of the township that leave behind burned out structures. And we're trying to deal with those on a more expedited basis, because when you have a house that's either boarded up or you have a house that has been burned out and people drive around, it's the so-called broken window theory, where you don't want to have continued property mistreated because people think that you don't care because they've seen this house boarded up for months on end. There are a lot of different issues that definitely are also exacerbated by the fact that in Washtenaw County you have two counties. You have two. This defined by race and place, and that has been brought forward by the University of Michigan Poverty Solutions Initiative, which has identified how the eastern part of Washtenaw County, especially in the township of Ypsi and the city of Ypsi, continue to basically receive. We're struggling over here in a way that's not seen in the western part of the county. Everything from health care. Right now, according to the U of M study, the life expectancy for the African-American population was like 17 years less than other parts of Washtenaw County. There's a lot of challenges that came out of that report. And in fact, I know the supervisor continues to carry around a map showing the opportunity index and just how poorly we stand in relation to the rest of the county. So this part of the township is still struggling in trying to get a recreation center over here. Our township went so far as to offer the YMCA over 20 plus acres of prime real estate to build a rec center. It required them to do a study to show that it was feasible. It required them to do a memorandum of understanding as to how it was going to be operated. And then that failed because the county did not put its marker down and commit to building a rec center in eastern Washtenaw County, be it Ypsi City, be it Ypsi Township, be it Superior, like they did for the city of Ann Arbor in the Mary Lou Murray Recreational Facility. So there are a number of issues that are much more broader, I know, than maybe you have time to talk about tonight. But during the last 15 years, I know that the board and myself have dedicated ourselves to trying to impress upon the county the needs that are going unmet here in the township. And we have pockets even within the township that have not been addressed. But I think right now that there's nobody here on the board that would disagree that these issues need to be dealt with, and I'm sure that they will be addressed in the days ahead. On a different note, and this kind of probably it's professional as well as concern for the township. Back when last month, I know that they were wanting to extend the COVID-19 testing drive-through site that had been located at the Walmart shopping center. That time period had expired, and in the process of seeking to extend that COVID-19 testing drive-through site, Pastor Kraut from the New Covenant Missionary Baptist Church had reached out and offered his church in the parking lot. As everybody knows, it's a huge parking lot over there at Pastor Kraut's church, and he had offered to allow his church to be used as the testing drive-through center to allow the COVID-19 testing to continue, because all of us are aware that there's still COVID. People are still dying from COVID. There's new variants that they're expecting to still come out. Even right now, there's one in Great Britain, apparently. And so he offered to have that COVID-19 testing drive-through site that was operated by Lynx in partnership with Washtenaw County. He offered to have that moved over to the New Covenant because they were stating that they needed to be in the epicenter of where COVID had a disproportionate impact, and one of those areas was in the West Willow area, the 48197, 48198 zip codes. And so when it came time to extend that permit at Walmart, the suggestion that came up about why can't you not locate to Pastor Kraut's church, because you've used that location in the past to do COVID-19 vaccinations. You've used that site in the past to do flu shot vaccinations. So why not just relocate from Ellsworth Road over to where it's much easier for people to access in that 48197 area? And I was not at the meeting. I know people here on the board were, and I've been told that one of the reasons that the operator of the COVID-19 testing drive-through site stated as to why they did not want to move over to Pastor Kraut's church was that it was not as, quote, profitable. Now, so we hear people talk a lot about, we want to do what's right for the community, but here when given a chance to relocate a public health resource from Ellsworth Road out there, Walmart, which is almost a stone's throw from Pittsfield Township, to move it over to where it could have been in the center of where many people could have access to the COVID-19 testing. When it was given the opportunity to say, here, you can come, the response was, well, thanks, but no thanks. It's not as profitable. So we continue to struggle even at the county level on those issues. And the purpose of bringing it up tonight was to at least ask the township board to at least, I think, send a thank you letter to Pastor Kraut for offering his church to be utilized as a COVID-19 testing drive-through center, because it's my understanding, could be wrong, it's my understanding that no one from the county even contacted him to say, thank you for offering your church as a place for COVID-19 testing drive-through. So at the end of the day, the township is going to continue to deal with the blight issues, the quality of life issues. If there's properties that are if there's properties that are, that should be enforced through circuit court action, the board has two on tonight's agenda that we're going to go to court over. The township has never hesitated to authorize us to proceed to address those type of issues. And as you go through, whether it's West Willow, the Galt Village Shopping Center, as you go through Sugarbrook, as you go through other parts of the township, the north side of the township, all that I would say is right now, continue to call the Sheriff's Department. You can continue to call the township to make the township officials aware of these issues because, again, sometimes these things don't always get brought to our attention in a way. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying sometimes they don't. But at the same time, when they do, there's no reluctance on our part, to the board's part, to deal with these issues. So, again, all these issues I had written down tonight to talk about because I am concerned about the impact upon the housing market if you do go into another housing recession. I'm not an economist, but everything I see on the TV every day, they keep talking about the high interest rates, the slowdown in the housing, potentially layoffs because of the recession recession fears. And I just don't want to see a replay of what happened in 2008, because it's been a long 14, 15 years to get to where we're at today. And we're not there yet, but we're a lot better than I think we would have been had we not done what we did back in 2008 to try and hold the banks accountable and to hold all the landlords accountable. I don't think it's acceptable if someone is having a property. There was a time when we used to notify the landlord of when there were, the police would notify us and the landlords as to when there was issues going on at a house. I believe that has not been the same practice for different reasons, but at the same time, there was times when we could tell the landlord, you had 7 calls to your house, 5 calls to your house, there's a problem. So I would just, again, encourage the dialogue to continue, let the township officials know what properties are causing the problems, and they'll follow up on it. And if it's something we can go to court on, I have no hesitation to. And again, it's been a long time that I've been at the West Willow to talk about these same issues with Joanne many years ago, but the same issues are still there today. So it's good to hear the conversation because I was prepared to talk about it this evening, as I just said. So thank you.
Any questions for Mr.? I do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't have a question, just more of a statement so that the audience is aware, and so legal staff. Ms. Wilton did come in to see me yesterday about her concerns, and I think she will confirm I immediately contacted our sheriff's department because we were not aware of it. And so I'm expecting an answer on that tomorrow. But I would also just maybe ask if the board would have a problem if maybe a couple of us meet with our community compliance ordinance director, maybe with the legal staff, and see where we can make changes and tighten that ordinance up and hold people more accountable than maybe what it allows currently. Times change, and maybe it's a time for us to look at that ordinance as well. So I have no problem doing that, and would love to do it. And then to the attorney's comment about Pastor Kraut, while I can't say certain things right now, I know the supervisor's aware. We are meeting with a financial institution to see if we can help that church and that pastor with his plans to try and put a recreational/educational center in that neighborhood. So we're working on that. I'm kind of bound right now by agreements not to say a whole lot. Thank you.
And normally we don't respond, during public comments, but Mr. Winters laid the kind of the foundation for what we were talking about in the work session. And we do have a problem getting the police to do enforcement and getting the courts to actually evict people when they're bad, for the community. Because there's a lot of people who we give grace to a lot of people, and you should, but you get to a point where accountability is important. And I heard tonight that you want good people renting in the community and landlords being held accountable. I heard tonight you want zero tolerance on ordinances. Now, it can't just be for landlords. That will go for everyone in the community. So I'm just confirming what I heard tonight so we can talk to people in order to get it. I did send an email to the Sheriff's Department. And Joanne, you've contacted me about fighting in the neighborhood. We go to Monday meetings. We ask about fighting in the neighborhood, and they said there are no calls. And it's so contradictory to what the residents were telling me. And they don't give us, they used to give us addresses so we could follow up and we could send landlord issues. We would know it, but they stopped doing that. The Sheriff's Department stopped doing that. So it's kind of like the things that have changed and the tools that we use, and our goal is compliance. It's not to harm anyone. It really isn't. It is just to have accountability, peace in a neighborhood, respect in a neighborhood, and pride. And in order to do that, we need, like the lady in the pink hat said, we need a village. That is what we need. And we can do things with ordinance, but we can't make the road commission put in speed humps, even though we raise our hand and we spend tax, we'll pay for it. The township board has voted every single time to pay for speed humps. I've had $200,000 or $300,000 worth of speed humps that we do because residents know there's a speeding problem, but they have to go through the road commission and that process to get it. So the only other helpful tool is to write tickets. And then when we say that, people get objected. Some people object to writing tickets, but there has to be some consequences for actions or you're not going to change behavior. And that's what we want to do. And we hear exactly what you're saying. And we're going to have a meeting with the sheriff, not the sheriff department. The sheriff is who we would need to meet with, and have him get together like we used to and come up with a strategy on how we can address the issues. And it is in West Willow, but you're not the only community that are addressing and saying the same thing about speeding, and about being a safer community and what can we do about that and holding people accountable. So we really appreciate you taking your time to come out tonight. It's helpful to see you. I go to your meeting, Debbie goes to your meeting, Gloria, we all go to your meetings. But to have you here tonight and come and speak about it, I just want you to know we really appreciate it. And we're gonna do something, so everyone needs to be ready for ordinance enforcement for everybody. We can't single out neighborhood. And to have the sheriff start doing more enforcement and more police presence to help. So I just want to let you guys respond to you. I normally don't do that. It's not protocol to do that, but we're so thankful that you came out and we heard you. That's what I want you to hear.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I just comment also on that? Joanne, Madam President, Joanne, Linda, you guys have been to this meeting periodically. You will see on the agenda where attorney, and I want to speak to as far as Attorney Winters too. Thank you. That you have the nuisance on Michigan Ave, which he's going to court on. Often you will see West Willow houses out there that have issues. I just want to stress that this board is not doing, it's doing what they need to do. And through Attorney Winters, if there's issues out there, he's taking them to court. It's always in the package, and we do care about West Willow. Also, with the gentleman with the bump situation, speed bump. Someone just did one on Gate Street. They say they fly down on Gate Street. I assisted that lady with the help of Brenda Stumble and with Washtenaw County to get that paperwork. Has to go to Washtenaw County, is my understanding, to file for it. Joanne sits on that board for the road commission at the county. She should be able to help you get that paperwork. But I guess they didn't give it to them either because I don't see a speed bump yet. I'm going to contact that resident, and what they're going to do is come out there, put that small box out there and survey it. So I hear you when you say, hey, maybe the traffic didn't happen that way that day where it was really fast, you know what I mean? But they did try to get one on Gates, and as you know, Gates is a small street. I know of your street also, but it goes through the system. Washtenaw County comes out there and survey, comes to the board, we vote on it. And Brenda has never, or this board has never stopped to give speed bumps for safety in our residents. So I just also want to let you know, we hear you. And if you look at the agenda, you'll see numerous of time Attorney Williams has taken people to court for unruly things as far as rental property and stuff. So I just wanted to ditto on that.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. Under,
Say just keep in mind too, now that the speed bumps are in on Nash, did they account for, now they're using our street more now that they're in?
that does force it to go over. You're absolutely right. It forced.
They just opened up back up recently and got them in there, but they took the box last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, an officer took that down, so it doesn't even account for the increase that we've gotten.
Well, I know Joanne can help us, and we actually, the township purchased the Jamar devices in order to help gather this information to assist with the road commission. But they have these engineered standards, and we can't change them. We changed the amount of people, we changed a policy on that. You used to have 70% of people to sign a petition in order, once you pass a study, you have to have you used to have 70% of the people that needed to agree. We got it down to 51%. So that was a policy, and that's how Nash, we got it on Nash, and what else? DeSoto? No. Yeah. Okay, I mean, so we'll get them.
How many people stop me, because I have a new puppy, I'm walking. Hey, when are we getting the speed bumps?
Yeah.
You know,
So we'll let you know. Joanne, can you let them know the update on the speed petitions on Woodland?
Yes, I have
All right, thank you. Under new business, we have the request to approve the creation of an appointed pilot, non-union salaried community resource coordinator position, and to waive the hiring process and appoint Lori Lumansky. I'm sorry, Lori. All right. So this is, we need a motion and support, or?
So moved. Support.
Motion Swanson, support Gerald Rowe to create this position. So we talked about it at length in the work session, and Lori is here. And I'm sorry that lady left, because I would love to address, I have no relatives working for Ypsilanti Township. I just want everyone to know that. It's an untruth, and how you undo untruths is hard. But we did go through the interview process for ordinances. For the ordinance enforcement, Lori went through that process. And we wanted to hire Lori for an ordinance enforcement position. And she declined because she's a social worker. She works as a head of the hoarding task force. She recently retired from and she provided connecting people to resources, which is what kind of Joanne alluded to. When you identify in school or in community that there's houses that have possible challenges, how can we help them? How can we connect them to the resources? How can we get them to the county, to the state, to the federal, whichever funding source that is? Ypsilanti Township doesn't do that, but what we have found ourselves doing is trying to connect people. Stan and Heather and I, there has been a homeless tent community that started on locating on 4 properties, 4 vacant properties in Ypsilanti Township. And so Stan reached out to the county 6 weeks ago. No answer, no help. Justin Hodges and Ricky Jefferson is trying to connect to the right department, and we did get a response today from the person that Lori knew exactly who we needed to go to, who can go in and help get housing for the people who are living in the tents, and they have to want to, but you just can't go live on someone's property. That's not a solution. And winter's coming, and there's vermin, AKA rats, are throughout the community with all this infrastructure improvement that they're doing. It's bringing up, and we're treating rats. We're treating them. We budget $50,000 a year to bait rats in the sewer system, in the storm sewer system. I mean, when we hear something, we try to find a solution to it. But the vermin, I don't understand why there's so many rats. I don't understand it. A lot of it can be unkept yards, right? And people not taking care of their house and leaving, not picking up after their animal is another one. And we addressed it in West Willow, and it really, it was a pilot. We did a pilot there and how to address it with the county, and we were able to get substantial improvement. And now I'm hearing about them again. So we'll continue to go out and try to identify where the nests are, where the homes are that could be causing the problems. It's a public health and safety issue. So zero tolerance is going to have to be what happens. And then it has to go to court when we do that. So we need the courts to cooperate and understand how important it is. So it's going to take a village. She's absolutely correct. That's a beautiful way of saying it. Because we can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. The police can't do it alone, and the legal system. So we all just have to work together towards that end. This position is a pilot to see if we can get community connected to resources, which is what we desperately need. We hear it every day. You guys hear it every day, but we don't have the staff or the knowledge to really do that. Lori has that experience and knowledge to do the job. It's not a permanent job, it's a pilot. And if it works out, we can post it later and everyone can apply. But right now, we need help, the community needs help, our residents need help, and we need to move on it quicker than later, because HR said that it would be, if we had to go through the process, it would be December, maybe January. December, I think you said at least. But we offered her the job as an ordinance officer. I just want everyone to know that she went through the process. So, Lori, I don't know if you have anything to add to did I cover it? You speak so much better than I do. You're so experienced. You have to go to the microphone, though. Lori, you have to go to the microphone. I'm sorry. I have a disability. I can't hear.
Usually people can hear me. I've just been a social worker in the community for, 40 years if you total all my time, but the last 33 at Synod Community Services and the last 16 working with the Hoarding Task Force. So I've been in a number of homes in the West Willow community and worked with ordinance, because as volunteers, all we can do is offer people the support to help clean up, but of course, you can't make people take that support. So sometimes you need the ordinance folks to help them understand that it needs to happen. So I've worked there extensively, and I applied for the ordinance position thinking that that would be a way I could still continue to help. I just frankly was exhausted, right? We worked all through COVID, and after 33 years working in the community and doing when it was time for younger people to take over and further the mission, right, that some of us as we age out can't do. So I'm interested in helping people in the township. I live in the township. I've lived here 30 years. And I like living here. I love what we have in our community. We have good neighbors. I rely on my neighbors. They rely on us. We look out for each other. I get that. And so the opportunity when Supervisor Stumbo brought it to me, I said, sure, I'd be interested in working with the folks. Whether we go through the hiring process or not is totally up to them. I'm good either way.
Are we related?
No.
I met you for the first time in an interview. Yeah.
She hasn't learned my last name yet, so I think that's safe. And if folks have questions or concerns, please reach out to me. I'm happy to respond to folks. I'd be happy to come to a meeting and talk to people. You probably have to shut me up and sit me down.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Stan?
Just so the members that weren't here earlier, I had never met Lori. Tonight's the first time I've seen her, but I've heard about her. And as our HR director will tell you, in my almost 20 years on this board, I've never, ever voted to waive a hiring policy. But for the last 6 to 8 weeks, we've been dealing with homeless encampments. And reaching out to the county has been unsuccessful to date. So this will give us somebody in our backyard that can help us alleviate those concerns. This job can't wait until December because those people need help yesterday. So just a myriad of reasons. But as we went through this past tax season, on a daily basis, people would come in to pay their taxes or try. And their struggle was, can I pay a portion because I still have to provide other services for my home, whether it was food, electricity. Soon it's going to be heat as we go into the winter months. So for that reason, I'm in favor in this case of waiving that policy because it's the right thing to do to help people in our community. So I thank you, Lori, for stepping up and changing the direction of what your application originally was for. And I wish, again, the young lady that was here earlier would have been here to hear why we're doing that, so she doesn't have the misunderstanding of why it's taking place. And again, the supervisor said it earlier. It's hard to battle misinformation when people don't sit and listen to the real reasons why things take place. So thank you.
Other comment? Yes.
I also want to say that just by hearing Lori tonight, so impressive. She has the right contacts. I have to say, as being a trustee, and probably everybody on this board has gotten calls from people who need some services at this challenging time, whether it be food, rent money, mental health. It's not a wait system when your kids can't eat, okay? Because you don't have no money or you lost your job. Just to hear Lori and her contacts to go directly to the head of departments and say, hey, this person needs help, it's a plus. It's a plus for this community, and I'm in favor, and thank you, Lori.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Well, I would just reiterate that at the work session when we did talk about this, I don't think as a rule we do a lot of waiving of policies. Usually when we're waiving a policy, it's because we're trying to move something faster because of the urgency. And with COVID and a lot of situations, the urgency has been there. So I really appreciate that you did go through a hiring process, because you at least went through the ordinance hiring process, and that you had the thoughtfulness to think this might not be the best fit for me when we have to balance this idea of compliance and this idea of help, which even people spoke. I don't think people want to hurt people, but even by not helping or not having accountability, people are getting hurt. And so it's a pilot and an attempt to do something where we see a need, and hopefully that's gonna work and we'll be able to do something different. But at this point, getting started means something, because the urgency is days ago. I mean, even in my other position, like, it's the same thing. I'm waiting for help. And I'm hearing like 6-week wait lists, and I don't know always the best way to go. And I have a system of support in my other position. So I think having somebody who can help us know that's reasonable, that's not reasonable, then I think we just got to jump in and we got to do it. And we may take some heat. I don't think we're in the process of hiring people because somebody's related. So I do get concerned about a lot of mistruths that are being lobbed out there, because mistruths also cause harm. And I don't think our way forward as a community when we're having all these things happen is to incite fear and to incite name calling and all those kinds of things. So I really appreciate that you're here and that you've let us know things that we did know were going on, but they're just escalated since the last West Willow meeting we were at, which was just a couple weeks ago. But you didn't do it in a way that created a sense of fear or harm or name calling. You did it in a way that said, look, we're all in this together and let's work together. And so I really appreciate that too. I mean, people can come and say it in any way they want to, but that's not the way you chose to bring it to us. That's not the way it really has been brought to us, even in some of the neighborhood meetings. And so I really appreciate that idea, because I think we can move forward when we're focused on the problem instead of personal things. So thank you.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I had the same sentiments as Treasurer Eldridge, where I don't have 20 years on the board, but in my 6 years, I probably would never waive a hiring process. And it was a concern, as I mentioned in the work session. But this is also why it's important for board members not to come with predispositions and hear all the board member comments and hear the community. And I'll be voting in favor of this because it's needed. As you all have said, we all receive lots of calls for resources. There are a lot of resources already available. People don't know how to connect them, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to connect them to those resources. So we'll be looking forward to working with you, and of course, whoever the next state representative is, I'm quite sure they have some staff that will be trying to coordinate resources from the state level. So I'm quite sure they'll be looking forward to working with you as well.
That would be fantastic.
So, yes, I'll be in favor of this position because it's very needed right now. I will make a caveat, not a amendment to the motion, but once it becomes a permanent position, I think you mentioned this, Supervisor Stumbo, that you go ahead and put it out for a official hiring process. So that would be good.
Of course. All right. We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Monday, Lori?
I want your number first.
Number 2 is a request to approve the installation of one street light at the corner of Bellers Court and Prospect.
Support.
We have a motion by Eldridge, supported by Gerald Rowe, to install a street light. Several accidents there, and hopefully there's not a backlog on the pole, because it's going to go on a wooden pole that's already existing. So hopefully this will work out quicker than the ones on US 12 project. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3 is a request to approve the contract with Washtenaw County for the 2022-2023 Senior Nutrition Program.
So move, Peterson.
Motion Peterson, support Eldridge. Discussion? This operates out of the community center. It's partnering with the county senior nutrition and feeding program that we have. And they're very good meals, and everyone's welcome to attend. We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4 is request authorization for circuit court litigation to abate public nuisances located at 1255 West Michigan Avenue and 2715 Woodruff Lane, which is budgeted.
Support.
So motion Eldridge, support Wilson to approve the authorization of circuit court for these public nuisances, which is we've all talked about this evening, some of the concerns. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There's no other business. Is there any board member updates?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just a quick US 12 update since we're right with Willow Run, or West Willow. Willow Run, grew up. So. I met with the engineers today that are overseeing that project for almost 2 hours. We walked the entire project. There are a number of issues they have to correct over the next roughly 40 days, 45 days. We identified at least conservatively 25 to 30 trees to be replaced. Some places where lawns have been disturbed, it has to be fixed. Sidewalks that have cracked have to be replaced. At the intersection of Ecorse and Ford Boulevard, there's a section of sidewalk that's still out. That's because the mastheads, the mast arms just went in recently, and they have to pull a pole out. Once that pole's out, it's hoped to be done this week. They will pave that. The lights that we're still waiting for at the corner of Wired and US 12, as well as along the service drive from Onondaga all the way to the east. We have a meeting with the construction crew to next week on the 13th to set up that time frame so that those get installed before the end of the year. As the supervisor noted earlier, we've been waiting almost 18 months for those mast arms to come in. So they're finally beginning to arrive. You'll see the names of the streets begin to go up on those mast arms as soon as they arrive over the next couple of weeks, as well as some lighting issues that will take place along Ecorse at Ford Boulevard. So everything's coming. We have another meeting scheduled in about 2.5 weeks, and hopefully everything is done by the end of this month so we can do a final walkthrough and make sure that it's finishing exactly as it was envisioned and anticipated over 2 years ago. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other updates?
Yes, Madam Chair. Also, I'd like to announce on behalf of State Representative Ronnie Peterson, you should have gotten a newsletter October 20th. Would probably be his last update on Whitaker Road and the construction and the project. It will be here at 5 to 7, I believe. So asking the residents to come out. My understanding is supposed to be done by November. So hopefully they'll make their deadline. So if anybody want to come out to ask the engineer any questions, State Representative Ronnie Peterson question, it is October 20th. You're right here in this lobby. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just an update that our clerk's office is busy trying to get absentee ballots out. As of today, we've gotten out about 67% of those. We have a little less than 10,000 absentee ballots that we have to send out, which is a significant difference with the exception of the 2020 election. So our office is busy doing that. Just as a reminder, you can still submit an application if you're interested in having an absentee ballot. You're always welcome to call our office if you have any questions about the process. And we do have 2 drop boxes. We have one at the Ford Boulevard Fire Department, which a lot of folks don't know. So just try to share that information with your neighbors, and one outside here, the Civic Center. And that's my update.
All right. Thank everyone for coming out. I'd like to say that, though. We really appreciate Lori. Welcome aboard, and let's make a difference. Motion to adjourn?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:28.
You're welcome.